Don't let Upland's neighborhood rating calculations get in your way. Playa del Rey just won Upland's very first neighborhood collection competition. There's a lot of controversy around this because there's a lot of people in different neighborhoods that think that a different neighborhood should have won instead of Playa del Rey. In this graph, we can see the daily progress of all of the different neighborhoods and their neighborhood ratings. This is compiled by Rodrigo of Qualywood, and the link can be found in the description below. Now you can see here that the month finished very closely between Playa del Rey and Chelsea, but the controversy is less between Playa del Rey versus Chelsea and more about the neighborhood which came in third, Century City, and why they aren't ranked higher. I was in the Century City Discord and I was chatting with a few people, and one of the comments that I made I thought would be a great YouTube video, so here I am, and I want to explain what I elaborated on in that Discord server. Now, I think this video will be helpful for anyone who is part of a community that did not win this competition or feel that the competition and the neighborhood rankings were unfair. Take a look at the link in the upper right hand corner or in our description below to learn about all of the different metrics that are used in order to calculate the neighborhood ratings. So here you can see that Playa del Rey is located on the west coast of Los Angeles, and Century City is located right over here a little bit further north. If we zoom in, we can see that Century City is one of the more developed neighborhoods in Upland, with lots and lots of buildings and a number of meta ventures inside of the node itself. The neighborhood is also fairly small, making it an ideal size for creating a tight-knit community. Now, in the discussion that I got into in this Century City Discord server, the specific player that I was chatting with basically said to me, well, it doesn't seem very fair that based on what we have done here in Century City for such a long time in coordinating and building up this neighborhood, the metrics don't seem to make a lot of sense, and the algorithm that Upland has used to calculate it doesn't seem fair. And this was my response to him, and I think it will help all of you. Essentially, the main point here is that if you're going to be trying to focus all your energy in trying to crack the code and understand exactly how these metrics are calculated, then you're investing less time in actually developing your neighborhood. And if your reason for developing a neighborhood is to create a strong community and create a lot of activities that you can do there and bring value to the landowners and people who are invested in any specific neighborhood, then these collection bonuses should be just that. They should be bonuses, and they will be a byproduct of you creating a strong community. If you're focusing on other communities and you're spending your time trying to reverse engineer and try to quote unquote game the system, then you're not helping your community in any way. You may be able to achieve short term success, but that might not translate in the long term to what you're actually trying to do in your community. There are neighborhoods like Century City and others that have been developing their neighborhoods for quite some time, well before the introduction of these neighborhood ratings and these bonuses. So don't let these bonuses get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. Now, beyond that, let's say you're insistent on still trying to figure out how to crack this code and understand exactly how these metrics are calculated and weighted. You have to keep in mind that it's going to change. Even if you do figure it out today, it could change tomorrow, and it will change for several reasons. The first of which is that it's just a new feature, and as people learn the system and as Upland learns how it works, then they're going to make changes. Nothing is set in stone. In addition to that, there are several things that are yet to be calculated as part of these neighborhood ratings that are super important. Things like cars and structure ornaments. In the future, there's going to be the ability to rent your properties to other people, and all of these features and other features that have yet to be factored in. And those will absolutely be factored in at some point in time. So if you're trying to work towards a specific goal right now, those goalposts are going to be moved. The question is when. Now, these neighborhood rating metrics are geared towards creating economic activity, and that's something that's important in a strong community. But as a community, that should also be a byproduct of what you're trying to do. In my opinion, A strong neighborhood should actually be strong because of the bonds that people create between each other. And this is not something that is easily measured in the metrics that they have created. So if you're trying to build a strong community, that might not yet translate into strong economic activity. Maybe you don't have a number of meta ventures in your neighborhood just yet, or you're planning something that's a little bit longer term project. So it's really important to ask yourself as an individual within a community and as a community as a whole, what are your goals for the community? If your end goal as a community is to spawn a neighborhood collection and continue to increase its boosts in the secondary competitions, then the way in which you are going to manage your community is going to be fundamentally different from a community who is focused on creating these social bonds. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what do you as a community value? What do you want to create as part of your community? Now, specifically for Century City, they're currently sitting in third place, and only one neighborhood can be the first neighborhood to spawn a collection, and every month there's going to be a new neighborhood to do so. So, based on where Century City is specifically, I would assume that in the next couple of months, if they continue doing what they're doing, there shouldn't be any reason that they wouldn't be spawning a collection. Now, the monetary benefits that this provides is going to be very small, in my opinion, for the majority of players who even own properties in Century City. When the collection is spawned, it will be a standard collection, and chances are it's going to be something similar to the lowest standard collection rate. So here we can see in Los Angeles it's 1.36 compared to the regular Los Angeles collection of 1.25, and you're going to have to own several properties in that neighborhood, anywhere from 2 to 4 depending on the size of the neighborhood itself. And this is something that Upland will define after the neighborhood has actually won the first collection. So players who own a number of properties in that neighborhood will be able to place them in the collection, get a 650 UpX reward or something along those lines as an initial bonus for creating the collection, and something like another 10 to 30 something percent boost on those properties depending on which collection they were previously in. Maybe you had them in the Los Angeles collection or a City Pro collection. Now, even for the players who are able to spawn that collection, over a number of months, the additional earnings that you will be able to get from those boosted earnings will probably be a lot less than the time you're actually spending on trying to game the system and figure out exactly how these neighborhood ratings are calculated. Which brings me back to my previous point. If your sole drive is to get these boosted earnings, from a pure earnings standpoint, there are probably going to be fewer people who are actually thinking that exact way. And the amount of time and energy you're going to invest in getting that is probably not going to bring you a return on that investment. And lastly, if you're going to say it's not about the money, it's purely about pride, I really identify with either Century City or whatever neighborhood you're in, and you're really upset because you worked hard to build up your neighborhood and it didn't become the very first neighborhood to spawn a collection, or maybe even the second or third, or it might take a while. My response to that would be it's unfortunate. Not everyone can come in first. Some neighborhoods, like I said, Century City will probably spawn a new collection very soon. But I would go even further and say that chances are a lot of people will forget about this in several months, and there's probably even a large amount of people that just don't care because they don't have an allegiance to one of these specific neighborhoods or communities, or they just don't really care. So I would say join a community who is looking to actually build up their community independent of what else is going around them. If you're focusing on yourself and you're looking to develop your neighborhood, chances are good things will happen and people are able to see what the values of these different neighborhoods are. And lastly, Upland is very much a game of patience. So there's still a lot of features that are yet to be introduced, and these metrics will be changing and the goalposts will be moving. So if you have a solid North Star, it's not going to be super important when or how Upland is going to be moving these metrics and these goalposts, as long as you know that your community's vision is something that is important and that can attract a lot of people to that.